Welcome. Today we'll be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the May 13th Al-Anon readings, Encouraged to Change and a Little Time for Myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I will take a moment and look this over. The question is, which of the 5 warranties can I apply to my life today? And the passage kind of summarizes each warranty. So warranty 1, that we should have enough money to do what we need to do, but it shouldn't be our focus. Warranty 2 keeps a check on having a tendency to assume power over another person. Warranty 3 involves making decisions within a group to remind us that there are other ways than our own way of doing things. Warranty 4 is about keeping our ego in check and avoiding the public spotlight. And warranty 5 reminds us to take into consideration the effects of our actions on others. Today's reminder, the warranties help us to live in a way that supports us working our program. And the quote is from Paths to Recovery. As we keep the warranties in the forefront of our mind, we realize that they keep us in balance. So which of the 5 warranties can I apply today? I guess all of them a little bit. I like warranty 3 especially, to keep an open mind that there are other ways to do things than what I may think of. That's a good thing. So although my partner and I are extremely compatible, we have different approaches to many things. And sometimes when we talk about it, I probably sound like, based on my partner's reaction, I probably sound like I'm so sure of the way we should do something, when I can think of very few things. In fact, I can't think of anything right now that I just, without question, know that the way I do things is correct. Like, I don't have that much confidence in anything. To think that my way is better than everybody else's. Like, I don't know. I don't think that I may seem confident at times. And it's not that I don't feel like I'm equal to everybody else. I just don't really, I always feel like there's stuff I don't know. And I just kind of assume that all the time, that I don't know all the information. I don't know all the details. So there's no way that I can like be 100% like uh, confident in any decision I make because I do it with the information that I have at the time and do the best I can with it. But I just like that reminder because like I said, sometimes like my partner will say something and I'm trying to think if it happened today. Like he'll suggest a way of doing something and it's just not the way. Oh, I can think of an example. It didn't actually happen today, although I did do laundry today. But when I first moved in here, which was almost 2 years ago, I remember the first time I was switching the clothes from the washing machine to the dryer. So this is going to seem really silly, but this is an example. Um, and he takes the clothes, and the washing machine and dryer are not right next to each other because of like logistical reasons they can't be. So it's like 10 feet, the dryer's like 10 feet to the right and on a different wall than in the basement than where the washing machine is. So he, when he switches the laundry, he takes the laundry out of the washing machine, puts it into the basket, carries the basket over to the dryer, empties the basket into the dryer, then turns the dryer on. Okay, I don't do that. I don't know why. It just doesn't appeal to me. What I do is I pick things out of the washing machine and I walk them over to the dryer and I throw them in the dryer. And it takes me like, 3, 4, maybe 5 times. And I don't mind because it's like 10 feet and I'm picking through stuff that I don't want to be dried and whatever. Um, but the first time he saw me do this, he was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "That is the most inefficient way to do that." And I said, "I'm not in a rush. This is more comfortable for me." And I said, "Hey, there are different ways to do things. Don't worry, the clothes will get dry. It's okay to have different ways of doing things." And when I think of how many things I do like that must drive him nuts, sometimes it kind of makes me feel bad. But then I'm like, no, like if I'm doing it, I can do it the way I want to do it. And, the laundry's done. Nobody got hurt. It was fine. So, so that's what I've got to say about that. I will take a minute and look this over. Hmm. This is a great page. I'm surprised that I don't have it marked because it's about making decisions and just using the information that we have and the guidance that we receive and making the best decision we can at the time and just working through the consequences as they happen, whether the consequences are positive or whether they're challenging. So it's saying to do the footwork that seems reasonable and then turning the results over to our higher power. And as long as we do our due diligence, then we've done the best we can. Um, it says I love this because I used to think this too. This person is describing avoiding decisions at one point because they felt that there was some kind of magical right choice, but they never seemed to know what that was. I used to add to it that I used to think that other people knew and I was the only one who didn't know, which is a horrible feeling. And then they say they waited till the last minute and never felt good about their choices. But now they realize that choosing not to decide is a decision. And it says when we change our attitude, we can, once we make a decision, we can be excited instead of fearful. Today's reminder, we can have faith in our ability to act. When the time seems right for us, we will make the best choice that we can, and we will enjoy the results. And the quote is from Living with Sobriety. It's talking about how our enthusiasm for change depends on our willingness to take a chance. Saying taking a chance on tomorrow by risking what we have today. Actually, the wording of that is kind of like, I don't know, threatening. I'm sure it's not meant that way. But I guess in certain, well, like, so the biggest decisions, the most recent biggest decisions that I've made were when I decided to retire and sell my house. And I knew it was very risky because of my age, because I'm young to retire and I'm young to give up my house. That was almost 2 years ago. And when I say that I'm grateful every day that I did those things, that I retired, that I sold my house, when I tell you that I'm grateful, I mean it most sincerely. And oddly enough, the house that I sold and I lived in for 30 years, my son grew up there. Only house he knew growing up, except, well, it's not true because his parents were divorced and he went back and forth from my house to his father's house. So it wasn't the only house, but when he was born, he came home from the hospital in that house and I sold it 2 years ago when he was 28. So, oh, I know what I was going to say. So that house that I lived in for 30 years and felt safe and comfortable, but eventually, the last few years I was like, well, it wasn't even the last few years. I've said it before. Like, I bought that house as a married woman, and I ended up living in that house for 20 years as a single mom on a teacher's salary. So, uh, in any case, I recently found out, but I loved living there. I loved my neighbors. It was very, very good. Sorry, I keep getting off track. But that house recently went back on the market. So the people who bought it was actually a single mom, I think, who bought the house for me. I only met the woman, and I know she had 2 kids. She bought the house, and now it's for sale again. So I don't know if she got transferred or if the house wasn't what she thought it was going to be, but like that's out of my control. Um, but it's funny because when I realized that the house was for sale again, it made me think, well, what if I had stayed there? And I was like, no, there's no way. There's no way. Um, so anyway, I like this about making choices that seem right for us, that there is no magical right choice. Everybody, and nobody knows the magical right choice because there is none. People do the best they can with the information they have. Hopefully, I think things through. Hopefully I seek guidance from my higher power, from people that I trust. Hopefully I do my due diligence, my footwork. I run my numbers. I see what's going to work best for me. I think about what's in my heart. That's all I can do. And if I make a quote unquote mistake, then I live with the consequences and I make the best of it. That's all. Yeah. We'll close out with the serenity prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.